I just wanted to work in something international, having to do with Latin America. So this is how I got into the finance business and into the international scene. And then, as things have it, I wanted to work on the equity side. And as I lived in Washington, I ended up joining the IFC because IFC invests not just lending, but also does equity. And I was very interested in that. And then, one good day I was asked to, lead the IFC's Africa department. So I took that challenge, truly as a challenge because I didn't know very much about Africa, and it's fascinating. I loved it. Been investing in emerging markets for about 30 years, 20 years at the IFC. We have seen everything. So the changes that are more recent, I don't think that they are that different than what we have seen in prior cycles. Maybe this is a bit more complicated because the economies are now much more integrated. Africa 20 years ago, not too many investors looking at it. So, if something happened in Nigeria or South Africa, it didn't matter much. Today, it actually does matter. China, similar story, right? So we really started from the grounds up. We were lucky enough to get sponsored by the W.K. Kellogg Foundation Trust. They're fantastic partners. They did enable us to build our team, start our investment program, and this is what's allowed us now to start bringing in new investors who like what we've done. We have been investing and are focused on 3 regions: Africa, Latin America, and emerging Asia. The way we look at the world is, in each one of the countries or regions that we invest in, we look for themes, we look for sectors that we like, that are sort of long-term growth sectors, because the GDP growth will change from time to time. Politics maybe gets a little messy from time to times. This is kind of the volatility that you can expect is going to happen. But across our markets, if we identify sectors that are fundamentally strong, such as in China we like healthcare and life sciences, in India we like education, financial services, in Latin America we like the agribusiness sector. Africa, you asked, in Africa, I think in Africa, it depends on which part of Africa you're talking about. It's a little bit more complicated because of the region. The overall theme of, the consumer really in Africa means that you're going to find opportunities in all kinds of sectors. Telecoms and financial services is, I think, still so underpenetrated that there's all kinds of opportunities there. Sort of the basic local consumer products, I think lots of room to invest there and bring small companies up, up to being mid-sized companies, regional players. So, we like to find sectors/themes in the different parts of the world that we like, and then we find, our managers to execute on those. So we need to understand what's happening on the ground in Kenya to develop our investment thesis for East Africa and Africa as a whole. Because we are primarily a fund investor, we like that approach to be able to have diversification at the portfolio company level. We then look for managers who share the same view about what makes sense in East Africa or in China, et cetera. The reality in most emerging markets is that you don't find managers with the kinds of track records that you find in the US and developed markets, so they're not Fund 5, right? Very, very few Fund 5s. You're mostly in Fund 2 and Fund 3. So the track record is somewhat unrealized, which means that we have to do quite a bit of work to get comfortable with that. But more importantly, I think, this is a forward-looking business, okay? So you need to see eye to eye on strategy and the opportunity, make sure they know what they're doing. That means that they have to have the right team, the right resources, and if we get comfortable with all of those things, then we will go ahead and back a fund manager. part of the dynamics that we're seeing is that those managers that we're backing, who tend to be smaller managers with smaller funds, investing in sort of the low to mid-market space, they're taking their companies and now they're selling them to the larger PE houses, larger PE funds who need deal flow and can get it from sort of the smaller local manager. So, one makes a choice. You invest, with the global players, you're accessing a certain part of the market, or you invest with the smaller guys and you're accessing a different part of the market. I think it improves actually your exit possibilities if you're starting in the smaller space and are able to grow these companies. The other dynamic that's happening, again, particularly in Africa, is that you have the local institutional investors who in the past didn't really invest in private markets. They're starting to invest in private equity. Cuba may evolve in the likes of Vietnam or China in terms of having the unique government, let's say, and then a population that's smart and hardworking and a country that has a lot of resources to be developed. So I hope that something develops in Cuba, and I would love to be investing there.